Devotees, good evening, Hare Krishna. We're going to have Bhagavad Gita class today on the 15th chapter, 17th verse, invocation. We'll start with the invocation. Thank you for the opportunity. Sorry for the delay with technology. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachali Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Ajnanatimindasya Jnananjana Chakshur Urmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Devamrita Swami Tinamine Pracharya Puradakshancha Bhaktachara Prabhinata Pararthata Karyam Yeshe Sarveshite Namaha Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachasta Desatane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srinivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear devotees, we will start with the Chatur Sloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is in 10th chapter, 10.8, starting from 10.8 to 10.11, four slokas. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. This is Bhagavan Sri Krishna talking to Arjuna. On 10.9, Machita Madgata Prana Bodayantasya Parasparam Katayantasya Mam Nityam Dusyanti Charamanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive greatest satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another. 10.10 Tesam Satatayuktanam Pachitam Pritipurvakam Vidame Buddhi Yogantam Yenamam Upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. 10.11 Tesam evanukam partam am ajnanajam tamaha nasayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, they strive with the shining lamp of knowledge, the darkness born of ignorance. Then we will chant Kunti prayers. These are beautiful prayers. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto Lord, who has become the son of Deva, Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of the Vrindavana, and the enliver of the cows and senses. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.22. Namah Pankajanabhaya, Namah Pankajamalini, Namah Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangare. My respectful obeisance unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with depression, like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Very nice. Thank you very much. So next, we're going to talk about Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15, 17 sloka. But we'll come to a background for the new devotees who is joining with us today. What is the Bhagavad Gita about? Bhagavad Gita is a life manual, both spiritual as well as body life manual. Bhagavan Sri Krishna describes, and Srila Prabhupada in the introduction talks about what Bhagavad Gita is all about. It describes 5 different principles. One is Iswara, the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? Most of the people, who is Lord? Who is the God? They have, most of the people that when I ask, they have about, oh, God is universe. God is mountains. God is rivers. All kind of information about God, but they don't know about the Supreme Lord. Who is the personality of the Godhead? They only have the partial information about God is all-encompassing energy. So here, Bhagavad Gita clearly talks about who is the Supreme Person of Godhead is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And the Jiva, our living entity, each living entity, like me and like everyone. Prakriti, the material nature. Kala, the time. Karma, the action and the reaction. These are the 5 things Bhagavad Gita clearly describes in all the chapters. Bhagavad Gita is divided into 3 sections. First section is chapter 1 to 6, 6 chapters containing Bhakti Yoga, learning Bhakti Yoga through Karma Yoga. Karma is action, reaction is what we talked about. Yoga means connecting that karma in union with Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That's what first 6 chapters talked about. And 7 to 12 chapters, next middle of the 6 chapters, talked about pure bhakti yoga. Bhagavan Sri Krishna describes to Arjuna, how do you have a bhakti yoga throughout all your life, waking and sleeping moments? Even when he was fighting, how can he have bhakti yoga in bhakti? So in the last 6 chapters, chapter 13 to 18, this is about bhakti through jnana. Most of the people, like me included, who is having a regular job, going to college, STEM program they studied, is all we have left brain thinking, more about jnana aspect. I want data. I want evidence to learn anything, right? To assimilate or appreciate anything. So there's jnana. So the last 6 chapters, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about how do you attain bhakti through jnana yoga. So background to 15th chapter, let's see chapter 13 and chapter 14. That gives us some impetus to understand better chapter 15, the verse. So in the 13th verse 1 to 2, Arjuna asks about the six processes of that is Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetram, which is the field, Kshetragnam, the knower of the field, Jnanam, the knowledge, Gnayam, the object of knowledge. See, actually, these are the 3 to 6 are the important because the new questions Arjuna asked in the chapter to know about this. The Prakriti of Purusha was already been Bhagavan Sri Krishna talking about in Bhagavad Gita up until this point. So Arjuna asked this question to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, just not for, and it's not for like having it, what is this word meaning? But actually he wants to know what's the Bhagavan Sri Krishna's world view through the Sankhya by asking these questions. In the Sankhya philosophy, as we know, this is opposite to science. Science is like evidence we're talking about. Sankhya is by experiential knowledge that you can evidence by yourself. That Sankhya knowledge, you let go of things. And with the Sankhya knowledge, your brain power increases, your anxiety increases. Number one cause of the world diseases is mental health disease. So through Sankhya, you let go, you renounce, you have Vairagya. With that, you have the mental health illness improves with the knowledge of Sankhya. With the science, the opposite. You get more comfort, you have more expectations, you get more raga, more bondage. So this is a timeless as well as timely information. So the process of gaining knowledge or value needed to keep gaining this knowledge is nothing but the attitude of looking at the world through Sankhya. That's how Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about in this chapter. So Sankhya in a nutshell, because it's very important to know Sankhya philosophy, Prabhupada clearly differentiates Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya, the Lord Kapila, who is son of Devahuti, is the one who introduced the Sankhya philosophy. It is in alignment with the Bhakti Yoga. Whereas there's also another Sankhya, there's the atheistic Sankhya philosophy. So, which is not anything about Bhakti Yoga. So here, in Sankhya philosophy, there are 20 elements, 24 elements actually. One is 5 Panchamahabhutas, Bhumi, Apo, Nala, Vayu. These are the 5 separated energies and of the Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about it in one of the verses. in Bhagavad Gita. And the senses, knowledge acquired senses, but eyes, nose, and ears, 5 of these senses, and the working senses, that is speech, mouth, hands, legs, anus, genitals, and sense objects, form for eyes, and then sound for ears, smell for nose, a taste for tongue, and the touch for skin. So these are the 20 processes, and you have 4 subtler things. There's the mind, intelligent, ego, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then the 4th one is unmanifested 3 modes of material nature. These are 24 elements. And then you have Kshetrajna, the knower of the Kshetra, that is soul, and the Paramatma, super soul. These are the 26 comprised of Sankhya philosophy. And the chapter 14 is the one Bhagavan Sri Krishna elaborately talks about 3 modes of material nature. And as we know, these are 6 concepts of bedrock philosophy of Sankhya, including the modes of material nature. So what is the connection between chapter 13 to chapter 14, where Bhagavan Sri Krishna explains these modes to deepen the Arjuna's understanding and sight? So improve the Arjuna's vision, so he can borrow the Krishna's vision or lens to see this world. So, and the other things important, the 20 process of gaining knowledge in 13th chapter, 8 to 7 sloka, 8 to 11 sloka, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks to Arjuna. So here, this is also very important to know. The more important things here is 16th, constant unalloyed devotional service to me. And that is the crux of the matter for Bhakti Yoga. And how do you have that? By approaching a bona fide spiritual master. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about that in 4th chapter. For to have this spiritual knowledge, you need to approach a bona fide spiritual master. And the knowledge is being disseminated through disciplining succession. And what are the total? These are the remaining 18 of these process of knowledge: humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation, absence of absence of false ego, the perception of the evil, perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from the entanglement from children, wife, home, and rest as spouse, and the rest of the world, even-mindedness amid the pleasant and unpleasant events, considered unalloyed devotional service, like we talked about, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of the people, accepting the importance of self-realization, philosophical search for absolute truth. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna declares this as knowledge. Anything outside of this is ignorance. That's the key. So these are the 20 processes of knowledge, gets us to Bhaktir Avyabhicharini, or unalloyed devotional service. So 1322 is the connection link between 13th, 14th chapter. Here, 1322 was Purusha Prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan guna kar gunasandasya sad asad yoni janmasyu. Here, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about the living entity in the material nature, thus follows the ways of life, enjoying 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with that of material nature. Thus, he meets the good and evil among various species. So, 3 modes of the material nature is very important in the purpose. Prabhupada elaborates, this verse is very important for understanding of how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. Just like in second chapter, how we change our dress, old dress, and get a new dress. So this change of dress is due to attachment to material existence. As long as he's captivated by the false manifestations, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another body. So Bhakti Yoga severs that transmigration. How he's put in touch with how he's put in touch with different bodies is explained here, associated with the different modes of nature. One has to raise, therefore, above these three modes, become situated in transcendental position, which is nothing but Krishna consciousness position. So, but he has to change the conception. Without the change, you eventually perpetually bound. So that change can be affected only by hearing from authoritative source. So authoritative source is the key. There's no, I am thinking, this is my knowledge, I think, no, there's no thinking here. It has to come from God, knowledge from the Supreme Personality of God itself, and through the mouth of pure devotees. From Bhagavan Sri Krishna came to Arjuna, this conversation, and Srila Prabhupada, who is founder Acharya of Krishna consciousness all over the world, has translated this. This is the authoritative source. So Arjuna is hearing this science, as we know, from Krishna. So in the Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with Supreme Personality of Godhead, is proportionate to realizes religious is the eternal blissful life. So that's association to the pure devotee is clear here. Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into, we are talking about the individual entities, put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a beast, bird, worm, aquatic, or bug. So this is all eternal binding nature. So the three modes, couple of analogies here. It's like a rope. Soul is bound to these three modes through our consciousness, through these ropes of our conscious thinking, thought pattern, to either sattva, there's more of goodness, rajas, more of passion, tamas, more of ignorance. And also another analogy is like a driving car, right? You can go drive a reverse gear. So once you are in that gear, you keep moving in that direction. So that's why when our consciousness is bound to one of these modes of material nature, your actions, your thoughts, your entire life will go in that direction. And this is also reflected by Lord Kapila Deva, who is son of Devahuti. He talks to his mother, Devahuti, in this verse about this consciousness, how it is binding to three modes. Chetaha chal asya bandaya muktaye cha atmano matam guneshu satam bandaya pratam va pumsi muktaye. Very beautifully described. Prabhupada translates, the stage in which the consciousness of living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditional life. That's called Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned from life after the life, because our consciousness is attracted to these three modes of material nature. But when that same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. And that is called Bhakti Yoga. That's called Alanavaya devotional service. So our consciousness can either attach to three modes of material nature, which is what's happening when we are in this living world, material world, and how we gradually transfer that to Supreme Bhagavan Shri Krishna. That's the essence. And then 1426, three modes were clearly talked about Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Mam cheyo vibicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatitya brahma bhuvaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And that is the key. And if you think about in Christian theology, Lord Jesus talked about live on this world, but not off of it. And the spiritual technology for that is this. You engage in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once you transcend the mode of material nature. So you will live, but you're not off of the world. You live in the world, but you are untouched by the world. Just like you swim in the ocean, but not get wet. So 15th verse, come to the 15th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. This is yoga of the Supreme Person. So first 5 verses here, Bhagavan Shri Krishna describes about the process of freeing oneself from this weakness of the heart. How is this weakness of the heart? We just talked about. To the extent our consciousness is bound to the material nature, you're being subjected to this material nature. So verse 6 to 20 verses discusses the Purushottama Yoga. This is the yoga of the Supreme Person. So weakness of the heart, the desire to lord it over the material nature. So with that, you wouldn't have Avyabhicharani Bhakti. You give up that. So it increases the propensity to lord it over the material nature, attachment and possession of the matter. How do you overcome the weakness of heart? By Avyabhicharani Bhakti. What is the process of Avyabhicharani Bhakti? By chanting minimum 16 rounds, according to principle laid out by Srila Prabhupada, who is the founding Acharya of Krishna consciousness all over the world. So at least a minimum chant Mahamantras, 16 rounds. And 4 regular principles. You chant like we have, once you have beads, like 108 beads in the Tulsi Mala, you start chanting from bead 1. How you do that? This is a very easy process. So you would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's one beat. Next, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is the head beat, and then you count 108. That's the one mala. So you chant at least 16 malas, 16 rounds. When do you chant? You chant during the time of Brahma Muhurta. That is an hour and a half before sunrise. That's the perfect time. There's also time for more goodness. No disturbance. You focus on Bhagavan Shri Krishna, 16 rounds. And in addition to that, the 4 regulated principles will get us to a human platform so that we can chant the 16 rounds. What are those? No meat eating, no illicit sex or whatever, and no intoxication of any kind, mind-altering substance, and no illicit sex. So these are the 4 regulated principles you have to follow. And the association of devotee. So an association of devotee is every evening we have Bhagavad Gita class here, and also every morning we have Srimad Bhagavatam class between 7:30 to 8:30. That's another way to associate with the devotees. right? And also we have this weekend, we have Sunday, we have Radhastami. That's one of the powerful day that one can associate with the devotees and participate in devotional service. Anything what we do or chanting or associating with devotee, going and having darshan of Lord Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Radharani, you will have more spiritual credits. Anything you do on that day. So make it a point, come and join us on the Sunday, this Sunday at Los Angeles temple. And 15.1 verse, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, the Supreme Person of God had said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and it branches downwards, whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. And 15.2, the branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots downward going down, and those are bound to the fruit of actions of the human society. This is a beautiful analogy, banyan tree, Bhagavan Shri Krishna talking about how the modes of material nature works. The real form of 3 to 5 verses, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its function is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with a weapon of detachment. How does the weapon of detachment work? By Avvebhicharani Bhakti. That is 16 rounds of chanting and 4 regulated principles and associating with devotee. And that's how you get the detachment, weapon of detachment. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Person of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So once Bhagavan Shri Krishna gives us an eavesdrop, how he's giving us he's kind of opening curtain a little bit and seeing what is the spiritual world is. And he says clearly here, one who goes there, he never comes back from it. And also he gave clues how to detach this bondage, attachment to the 3 modes through the weapon of knowledge. And one of the knowledge is what we're discussing here. And 15.5, those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are free from dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. So who attains to that eternal kingdom? These are the qualifications. So who doesn't have free from false prestige, free from illusion, free from false association, understand the eternal, done with the material lust. When do you have done with material lust? You cut down with the knowledge of the sword, with our association with 3 modes of material nature. Our consciousness associating with 3 modes of material nature will get us the eternal Nityabadha, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress. Right? When you have detached, you are free from the happiness of distress. So who is unbewildered? Because you have true knowledge and surrender to Supreme Personality Godhead. And that person attained the eternal kingdom and they never come back and eternally serve Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So 15.6, that supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by the sun or the moon, nor fire or electricity. Those who reach it never returns to this material world. You see, in this material world, we have sun and the moon, right? We need to have moon at night day and sun. But in the spiritual world, Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Brahma Jyoti is itself enough, all the lighting that you have, whatever you need. So it's eliminated by Bhagavan Sri Krishna's external energy. So 15.7, the living entities in this conditioned world, sorry, I meant to say prior, Brahma Jyoti is Bhagavan Krishna's one of the aspects of Bhagavan Krishna is that there is the impersonal aspect. That is what eliminates all the spiritual world. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to the conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which includes the mind. See, they were originally eternal fragmental parts of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So when you're fragmental part of Bhagavan Sri Krishna means what? Our duty is to surrender and serve the whole. Just like my fingers serving my body to eat, just like our soul supposed to serve Bhagavan Sri Krishna's soul, the super soul. We need to serve Bhagavan Sri Krishna as a living entity. And we were serving ourselves with the six senses, including mind. That's what Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about in this verse. And 15.8, this is all the knowledge. So the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another. And the air carries aroma, as the air carries the aroma. Thus he takes one kind of body and again puts it into another kind. For example, one of the best examples in Srimad Bhagavatam is Bharat Maharaj, where he's a devotee, but towards the end of the life, he saw a deer being killed right in front of him when he was in meditation. And that deer was pregnant, and he raises the deer, and instead of attachment to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he develops attachment to deer. And at the end of his life, he was thinking about deer. Who is going to take care of deer? And what happens? He became, next life, he became a deer. But he's a pure devotee of Bhagavan Krishna's blessings, and he knew, and then he started associated with yogis, and next to life, he became a Jadabhara. And he eventually goes to Krishna Loka. So where your conceptions of life based upon what you are getting attachment to. And some people like dogs, some people like cats. All of these different animals are, you have material, like I want to be wealthy, this and that. So you have all of the desires keeps us bound to this material world. And beautiful analogy, how the air is carries the aroma, our spirit is carried to different living entity through our subtle body at the end of life. And 15.9, the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eyes, tongue, nose, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Right? You will see different animals and plants. The 10th, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sorts of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of material nature. But one whose eyes are trained in this knowledge can see all of this. 11, the enduring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So if you don't have a transcendental knowledge, Krishna conscious knowledge, and you cannot understand this. And the 12th verse, the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. The splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are also from me. And 13, I enter into each planet, and by money and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I became the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. 15:14, Yoga of the Supreme Person. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of the life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Four kinds of foodstuff, some of the are drunk, some of the chewed, some of the licked, some of the sucked. So all of these, Bhagavan Krishna works as a digestive energy. So even Krishna Prasad you eat, and Bhagavan Shri Krishna also digests that Krishna Prasad and makes the energy for us. So beautiful, right? How Bhagavan Shri Krishna is always looking out for this lost soul when we can turn to him. And Srila Prabhupada and our gurus were so merciful to give this knowledge to us. So 15:15 is the powerful sloka that we all need to have by heart. The Sarvasya Chaham Hritasanya Visto Mata Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedasya Sarvai Aham Veda Vedyo Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Ved Eva Chaham. This is the crux of entire Bhagavad Gita in one verse. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Beautifully. Then 16. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. And the 17th verse. Uttama Purushatva Anyaha Paramatmeti Udartaha Yolokatrayam Avishya Vibhahati Avyavya Ishvaraha. Uttama, the best, Purusha, the personality too, but Anayaha, another, Paramatma, the supreme, Iti, thus, Udartaha is said, Ya, who, Loka, of the universe, Trayam, the three divisions, Avaisya, entering, Vibharti, in maintaining, Avyayaha, inexhaustible, Isvaraha, the Lord. So besides these two, that is fallible and infallible, the pure and impure, there is a great living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds and maintaining them. So I just confused a little bit. Let's go. He was talking about fallible and infallible, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Besides these two, fallible and infallible. So in the infallible one, living entities are in this material world. Fallible living entities are liberated souls in the spiritual world. Between these two, Bhagavan Shri Krishna talks about, there is, in this verse, there is a super soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds and maintaining them. Prabhupada translates this in purport. The idea of this verse is very nicely expressed in Kathopanishad 2.2.13 and Svetashwara Upanishad 6.13. It is clearly stated there that above the innumerable living entity, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is the Supreme Personality of God, and there is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma. The Upanishadic verse runs as follows: Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one supreme living personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facilities of enjoyment according to the work. He is the Upadrashta. He's the one who, as a supreme soul, super soul, and also Svetasvara Upanishad gives an analogy like two birds sitting on a branch of a tree. One bird is picking up, eating the fruit. Another bird is simply observing. So one is super soul, another bird is the individual soul enjoying this material nature. Right? So, and the super soul grants our wishes according to our karma. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain perfect peace and not others. So this is the beautiful verse. This Bhagavan Shri Krishna clearly talks about here the supreme super soul aspect of him. One is the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, 11 verse talks about Bhagavan Shri Krishna's three, how you can perceive Bhagavan Shri Krishna in three ways. That is, as Brahman aspect, which is like comparing to the shine, the sunshine is Brahman aspect, and the Paramatma aspect, which is sun rays, individual sun rays, is in our individual heart as a super soul, whereas Bhagavan aspect is sun globe, the sun god is Bhagavan. Right? So these are the three ways you can perceive Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And Paramatma is present in all living entities and also non-living entities. So that means Bhagavan Shri Krishna, even though we were eternally conditioned, we lost touch with Bhagavan Shri Krishna, but Bhagavan Shri Krishna eternally, patiently waiting for us to turn towards him when we are able to. Such a unconditional loving Father we have. And then 18th verse, it is translated, because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in this world and the Vedas as the supreme person. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna talking about how he's a supreme person, right? Beautifully. And then 19th, whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in the full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So, and also Prabhupada talks about introduction in the Bhagavad Gita. You can relate to Bhagavan Shri Krishna 5 different ways. There's a Sankhya Rasa, there's a being a neutral observer. We know Bhagavan Shri Krishna, this God is created all this world, whatnot. And the next is the Dasarasa. So that's what he was talking about here. Once you have learned that Bhagavan Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personal Godhead, and we want to be on reverence, we do some service. And then Sakya Rasa, as a friend. Arjuna is with Bhagavan Shri Krishna as a friend, he is asking these questions. Now, from being friend, now he take a role of disciple. So that's one way you can relate to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And the other way you can have relationship with Bhagavan Shri Krishna is as a parental Vatsalya Rasa. there is Nanda Maharaj and Yasodamai, how they raised Bhagavan Shri Krishna and the parents. And then the highest level of association is conjugal love, the gopis, pure devotion, all our devotional service. And verse 20 talks about this most confident part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. That's beautifully this. This was a short. This is the shortest chapter in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, 18 chapters, but it's the best chapter, the Yoga of Supreme Person. Here, Bhagavan Shri Krishna gives a more detailed description about the spiritual world. What are the Bhagavan Shri Krishna's opulences are? And in the spiritual world, we don't need to have a sun and a moon and a fire. See, that's the beauty. You're learning about the spiritual world. So the more you learn about the spiritual world and Bhagavan Shri Krishna's all the energies, unending, ever-expanding energies, that's where you will see, oh, why I am here in this material world, eternally bound from one life to the other. I need to go back to my servant, or my father, or my best friend, or my lover, and I want to serve him eternally. And how do you have that inclination, that knowledge? Once you read the Bhagavad Gita and read the purpose of Prabhupada, and you have knowledge associated with devotees and having a sadhana, daily sadhana. Even nowadays, even this medical science is very overwhelming that some people, anyone who has medical problems, they have certain kind of spiritual disciplines, they do much better. Not only themselves, their children and grandchildren are better because they have certain daily disciplines, spiritual disciplines. So that's important. So sacred time and sacred space. My Guru Maharaj says beautifully, you need to have the sadhana, sacred time and sacred space. Sacred time is an hour and a half before sunrise, Brahma Muhurta time, and sacred time is that, and the sacred space. I have an altar in my home where I do puja, and you also may have an altar and sit in the altar and offer water, tulsi water, and some fruits to Prabhupada, your Guru and Prabhupada, and Nityananda Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you have a picture, and then start chanting, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you are new, I would at least start with one round, 108 beads. And then 4 regulated principles. There is no meat eating, no drugs, any kind of mal-altering stuff whatsoever, and no illicit sex, and no gambling. So these are 4 regulated principles you follow. And more importantly, is associating with devotees, right, who are doing this sadhana daily, having these 4 regulated principles in their life, and who is chanting minimum 16 rounds. So one of the best opportunity that comes before the end of this month, which is tomorrow, on the 31st, Sunday, is Radhastami. Who is the perfect, best devotee of Bhagavan Shri Krishna is Radha Madhava. And she is the dearmost devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the mood of Radharani, and Krishna came as a devotee to show that importance of taking shelter of Radharani. Radharani's birthday, I would highly encourage you to come to temple, New Dwarka temple, associated with devotees. And that's how you will have more and more bhakti. The important days like that Radhastami, you have more spiritual credits for lesser of the effort. It's called buy one, get one free. That's the best deal we can have in spiritual context. And whatever you do, even small, come and take a prasadam, associating with the devotee will get you eternal credit. And that's what Shastra says, or what Sri Krishna says, and also Srila Prabhupada translates. With that, devotees, thank you very much for allowing me to talk to you. All this knowledge is not mine. All I borrowed from all the Guru Parampara. Any mistakes I made, unknowingly or unknowingly, please excuse me, pardon me, so that I can continue to grow in my spiritual journey and spread the Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.